I got that selective memory, man. I'm not putting a lot of effort into thinking about things I don't really give a fuck about.
Unlucky boys.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, your jobs just don't matter that much.
As long as my brothers are working, then that's all good.
Working and happy.
Yeah.
So like you guys did Bunnings together. How long did you guys end up doing that for?
Oh man, Marcus was there for a while, maybe like 5 years, and I think maybe 5 or 6, and I did probably 3 or 4. It was good for the time, like during study and shit like that, but towards the end I was fucking so done. I was just not having a good time. I just think because I wanted more. I wanted, pay was crap, and I was managing the nursery at the time, and that was a lot to do in Claremont because it's just like a solo job pretty much. You're just on your own, left to your own demise to fucking run it like it's your own little plant store, which was sick. Like I was hell into plants and stuff like that. I was
going to say, you definitely had a green thumb. So.
Oh yeah. But I was like sneaky about it, when I'd see plants that I know would be worth a penny with some variegation, I'd be like, oh sick, I'm copping that, and then I'd go sell it on Facebook for like double the amount.
Nice.
I'd make some ball of money. Yeah, bro, I was hustling plants, man. Like, yeah, it was fucking weird to look back, like thinking about all these plants I was selling, man, and like all this, wherever that money
all legal
went.
plants.
Yeah, for sure. Nah, yeah, we were straight. Yeah. But yeah, it was weird, man. Like,
are you talking about plants like the ones that have like bleached white leaves, that kind of?
Yeah, like variegated, like monsteras and things like that. That would go for a lot when you buy them.
What's variegated mean?
It's like a pigmentation issue. So the plant has, that plant has a full green leaf, and then when it's variegated, there's parts of it that have like almost left out pigment, and that becomes white, or that can be cream, or it can be pink, it can be anything. So then they're technically the more rare ones, and you just fucking, I'd pinch them, sell them, or you get little cuttings.
Do you know if that has any effect on their overall life?
Yeah,
longevity?
they fucking are impossible to grow. You have to have a really good setup.
Right.
Like greenhouse, lighting, good moisture levels, like really hard. And that was where I wasn't the best, because I'd pinch them, I'd like grow them, try my best. And then the minute I'm like, I'm struggling with this thing, I'll just sell it.
So you were selling the X-Men of plants, but the plants were going to be a difficult thing to do.
It was a hard job.
So anyone out there that may have gotten some variegated plants, don't feel too upset with yourselves. They're already on the way out, most likely.
They're literally, if you just, like, people would spend like $400 on a variegated monstera and be like, oh, this is going to be so beautiful. I'm just going to put it in my lounge room with no light. I'm going to overwater it. And especially like the white parts on the plants will go brown really quickly.
Because they can burn?
Yeah, because they burn if they're not getting enough light. If they're overwatered, they'll just go to shit. So then you have this beautiful plant that you paid $400 for, and it's already looking like trash. So they're hard work. I met one guy who would come in regularly. His name's Ray, and he was a beast. He is probably the best plant collection in Perth. And he used to show me photos. He's got heaps of followers on Instagram. Like, he's just so fine-tuned with how to take care of these plants and the plants he'd have. And, like, he'd come in and tell me, man, like, oh, yeah, I sold this plant for, like, $15,000 the other day. And I was like, bruh, what is it that you're doing, Like, he was hustling really good quality plants, like, just was all over it. He'd show me photos of his greenhouse, and I'm like, bro, I don't understand how you're doing this.
So it's always such a testament to... Doesn't matter what you're into, if you get really fucking good at this, you can just make a killing. Money. If you love something that you do and you just figure out how to be like the best at it,
money.
People will follow.
And because so these plants can be really particular as well. Like, you might have a variegated plant, but it's got a unique style of variegation. So it might be like a half moon. So a half moon is when one side is completely white of the leaf and the other side is completely green. And then what he'll do is he'll clip that leaf off, that section of that cutting, grow it from that cutting, so that every leaf that will be grown from that will have, say, like an 80% chance that it's going to go half and half. And then he would sell the cuttings for a shit ton of money. And like, yeah, he's a mad genius. I was always like trying to like brown nose that motherfucker so I could get some cuttings for free. I was always like, come on, man. Like, oh, you got the best plant collection. Just meanwhile, I'm like, come on, brother.
I had to think briefly about what browning nosing would have meant. And then I was like, okay, I get it.
Fucking sniffing that thing, bro.
So, all right. I mean, hustling through Bunnings, getting the plants done. What I want to know, and I think what a lot of Australians secretly want to know is, how do you guys know where everything is?
I don't actually know. Like, I've got hell gnarly photographic memory, so I'd be like, oh yeah, that's down aisle 3, about knee length down. You'll be about 3/4 down the bay. You'll see it there. And I think because you're just putting stock away all the time, you just get used to where this shit is.
So like when you started out as an employee, was it not like a process of...
Oh, they just give you a cage and like a little zapper, and they'd say, put it all away, and then you just do it over and over and over again until you...
Okay, so you are putting... So like your job to begin with is just putting stock away.
And service, like people will ask. But that's the thing, it takes you a minute to figure out what it is that you are good at, I guess, or they'll chuck you in. Like I was always in the landscape section because I was doing gardening and landscaping at the time. So that was easy for me, figuring out how to help people, and that kind of advice is just more about like gardening and how to fix your lawn, shit like that.
Because I personally have never been into a Bunnings, and it doesn't like, I'm not going for like the oldest employee or the young, like any person I've ever asked for like, this is what I'm after. Yeah. I've never had someone get it wrong. Yeah. And it's always been very specific. It's never been like, oh, check aisle 12. It's aisle 12, halfway down.
On the right.
Should be, sort of like knee height.
Yeah, it's weird. To me, it was weird to think about because I would just be like, using, like in my brain, people would ask and it's like, I'm just like mind mapping it out. Like, oh yeah, cool, it's down here, blah, 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 blah.
Are you one of those people? So if someone goes like, where are this type of screw? Yeah. Are you like running like from where you are, like a pathway, a visual pathway from like all the way down, and then like you're sort of... Yeah,
I'm imagining myself.
Like first person point of view camera, like going down and...
Exactly. Yeah. I'm that customer. How am I getting to this item?
Yeah.
Top tier shit.
I mean, I assume you did the same then. If you got like directions... Or someone's like, how do you get to...
Oh, yeah, visualize the whole
It's like, I have to start from wherever I'm at most of the time, and then I'll like run through the full journey to the end, and then be like, oh, yeah, that's
I mean, even like coming here today, I was like, how am I going to get there? All right, visioned myself fucking going up certain roads and like, maybe it'll be near that Wembley food hall, all right, so we'll go blah, 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 and...
Pretty wild how that works, actually.
Yeah.
So the Bunnings stuff, hustling the plants. What I would like to know from my own personal point of interest right now is I've got a couple of plants around here, right? Just just your quick visualization. Now there's some unhealthy plants in our view.
I didn't want to judge.
No. You should be judging. I deserve some judgment. There's one plant that is mine, and it's probably the worst off at the moment.
Which one is that?
Mine's the Monstera.
No, that looks all right.
Does it?
Look at that new leaf coming out, looking all... I think, how much are you watering that?
Probably, if you're lucky, once a week.
Yeah, that's good. It probably could do a little bit more.
I think, that one, for instance, and apologies for the pod, but that one was purchased like 3 years ago when we first moved in. Haven't changed soil, fertilizer, pot. Is that all probably a terrible thing?
So... The shit thing about plants is if you overwater it or underwater it, it's going to look the same. So it's going to show you the same sign. So it's going to go like brown at the ends of the tips and leaves and stuff like that. Whether it's overwatered or underwatered, it's looking the same. But because you see that like yellow, that bright yellow at the end after the brown, it's probably a bit deficient. Needs a little fertilizing love.
Okay, so yellow, as a general rule, we're saying maybe lacking some nutrients.
Tend to be lacking nutrients.
Browning, we're saying it could be watering too much or too little.
Either or.
Yep. So the browning, because this is good for me at the moment. Maybe there's a few other plant lovers
it's lasted 3 years, mate.
That's the thing. I was always most concerned about overwatering because I felt like that was the fastest pathway to death of my plants.
Oh, yeah.
Just because you water too much, and then like if the it just seems like rot was always the biggest concern.
Oh yeah, especially if it's indoor. I think when I was at Bunnings, I reckon 90% of the people, their problems would be I'm overwatering this thing. And I think the plants thrive off neglect. Just fucking leave it. Let it grow. Water it when you think about it. Oh shit, I haven't watered this in a while. Give it a drink. I think when people start babysitting him is when they fucking go, and then it's like dying or it looks shit and everyone's like, oh, I need to do more. Like, and then they'll buy fertilizer and they're like, oh, I'm going to fucking feed this thing. And then they feed it too much. And then it's a delicate process, mate.
Right. So I can over fertilize that plant as well.
Oh yeah.
Right. Okay.
Just be gentle.
A little sprinkle?
Just a little sprinkle. Give it some love.
All right. Top tips right now. This is not exactly a plant pod by any means, but this is helpful for me.
Yeah.
So I've seen a couple people, by the way, that have done like, they've got moisture measurer. They've got
retards.
They've got something to like capture midges. Because you know when you get plants, you get those little bugs flying around. Like I've never known if that's a bad thing or a good thing.
No, they're literally in every bag of soil you'll ever get. So there's nothing you can do. And especially in winter when
they're from the soil.
They're coming from the soil.
Dude, I always wondered where the fuck do they come from?
In the soil. They don't do anything. They don't harm the plant. Nothing like that. They're just fucking annoying. You can't do anything about it.
That's crazy. I always wondered, it's like, how do these little things keep finding their way to the plant?
Especially in winter when all the soil stays wet for longer, they hang around like a bad rash.
So they're like little larvae or eggs or something like that,
in
and
the
then
soil,
they just hatch whenever you, seemingly as soon as you bring them home.
Yeah, and then they start fucking, and then it's just a cycle.
And then so they don't harm the plant, nothing. It's just that's where they live. That's their vibe. That's their joint.
If people get really annoyed about it, you buy neem oil and you soak your soil in the pots with neem oil, and you can do that like once or twice a week, not too much, and that will get rid of the eggs. And you got to keep trying to like, because you might have one's flying, one's about to start flying, fresh eggs that are probably close to hatching already. So it's just like you got generations in there. True.
I mean, it sounds I kind of now. For some reason now I find them cuter.
Yeah.
Now that I know that, I'm like, oh, it's kind of like, this is their entire home base. Is this like that's their house? Is this little plant?
Be. They don't do shit.
Yeah, fair enough.
I'd rather let them fly around and wait till it dries out and they have a shit time and just die off naturally than put those yellow things up and then all of a sudden you're looking at there's like 1,000 on there and I'm like, this is gross. Get rid of this thing.
Yeah, true. Either way, you still have to deal with something. Yeah. Some flies, right? That's so cool. For me, at least, I think now I'm going to have to go to Bunnings after this and sort out my plants.
I mean, that looks all right. That one looks fucked.
That one in the corner. Yeah.
That's a hard plant, mate. That's a hard plant.
It had some really cool flowers. That was brother's plant, and obviously seen better days.
I'd just get rid of it.
Probably. Oh, really?
I wouldn't bother.
Oh, really? It's already that far gone.
It's just a shit plant to maintain.
Okay.
Honestly, I'd just fucking get rid of it.
That's a good point. You would have to know all the names of the plants and be like, you're like part plant. You walk into a room and you'd be like, you can figure what's going on with the plant.
Yeah.
And now I'm just realizing there are some signs I can now be like, oh, now I know a little bit more about it. It's good.
Oh, we could keep going on, bro. There's so much you can do, but honestly, I'm just talking from personal experience, and I've definitely killed a lot of plants. So gardening's a trial and error thing, bro. It's just, I'm going to try this. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. This plant fucking sucks. I'm not going to buy that again. Blah, blah, blah. But especially nowadays, bro, plants are expensive. I don't even bother.
Well, man, so the Bunnings thing, the one of the reasons why I obviously wanted to chat to you today, as we talked about, is you're probably one of the only people I know that has really pursued art as like one of the mainstays of what they do and what they promote about what they do themselves. And, it is really a world that I know nothing about. And what I thought was pretty cool and interesting about your style is that you have like definitely carved out what I thought, I still think it's just like a niche. And I'd like you to, I guess, like talk a little bit about it. You can probably describe it better than what I can, but I sort of see it as sort of a mix of like this Japanese anime ninja style take on well-known characters from different fantasy groups.
Yeah, it's pretty much spot on. I mean, our style's definitely evolved a lot over the period of me doing art, and I think right now, like I really got into tattoos. I was fucking loving getting tattooed. I was thinking about doing a tattoo apprenticeship, things like that. And I just kind of formed my style over what I liked, like what I wanted to do. So I wanted to do cool characters. I fucking love samurais. Samurais are sick, you know? Can't go wrong with a good samurai. And then I've always been really influenced by like Japanese culture most of my life. I don't know why. I've admired it. I think it's really beautiful, and I love the art, the like traditional art. And then with tattooing taking off, and they started like modernizing that style of Japanese art, and I just thought it looked fucking sick, and I just wanted to draw it, and then just started doing my own thing, and yeah.
How long have you been messing around drawing stuff now for?
Oh, we go way back.
Yeah.
You know, since I was a kid, I fucking hated reading books growing up. My ADD or ADHD would be like, I'd read a page and not know what I just read, and I'd be like, fuck this, I can't be fucked. So I'd just start drawing, and my mum knew from a get-go. She was like, oh, he's a drawer, he's gonna be a painter. And I was like really practical and really good with my hands, and I was like, I remember this one time, bro, I was like maybe in year 6, year 5, and I built this house out of like fucking chopsticks and those like ice cream sticks.
Paddle pops, yeah.
And I drew it out first, and my house won, bro. I won the comp, and it was immaculate. It was like, I think about it a lot. I'm like, damn, bro, that was like one of my peak memories of like my art journey was that fucking house that I won a comp on.
Did you ever, like, have you done much sculpting or building of that kind?
I've always wanted to get into clay sculpting. I'd like to make like oni masks out of clay and Japanese faces and shit out of clay. I think that'd be sick. I've just never really got into it. I used to do clay sculpting at uni. Like I did a semester or 2 of that. It was like my last semester, and I didn't really give a fuck about it. And there would be times where like me and my other uni mates would be tripping on mushrooms, and we'd go to this fucking clay class and just do the stupidest shit, bro.
True. Wet clay would feel amazing when you're
it was interesting.
Shrooms.
I made this like fucking gangster ass wizard Gandalf with like mushrooms coming out of his hat and shit like that. And I was just remember like tripping balls, cranking drum and bass, just having a good time.
So how much of this sort of stuff have you held on to? A lot of your early, like really early sort of stuff, like that house, matchsticks, chopsticks thing? Is that still around somewhere?
Fuck knows where that is.
Yeah, okay.
My dad's probably stepped on it throughout his life. It's fucking gone. I've still got a lot of old drawings I've done. You know, it's cool to see the process of that, and where you know, like I think as an artist, you're always going to be a perfectionist. You always want to get better. You're always going to look at other pieces of artwork and be like, I'm going to try that next time. I'm going to give that a go. So it's cool to look back at your old drawings and be like, oh, I could do that so differently now, things like that. I don't hold a lot of old drawings. I think when I was a lot of my old drawings in high school were probably fucking in the bin. All the paintings are probably in the bin. I don't know. I just let them go.
So I guess with the journey of art, because there are so many different forms of it, and from the most I've seen from you has been certainly more of the drawing, and now certainly more of the digital sort of drawing side. Yeah. But I'm guessing you're sort of adopting technology as a way to sort of test yourself, see what you can do in like these new fields, and sort of, again, like upskill in some ways. Do you still do a lot of hand-drawn stuff, or have you really moved predominantly into the digital?
Predominantly digital. I fucking am a lazy artist. I don't have the time to set up fucking paints and wait for something to dry and just sitting there staring at me like, come on, I want to add another layer, you know. I just don't have that time. I just like, my brain is like, nah, let's get it all done now. Like, and then with digital, I can add color, do lines, do sketches, have reference images, like get it all done in the one run, you know. It's just, to me, it's an easier process. And as much as like I wish I could be a good painter, I'm just not. I just fucking hate painting. It's just not my vibe.
The process of, as you said, waiting, setting it. I've always thought that about painting, that the idea of painting sounds great, but the execution of getting the frame brush for it, getting the brushes for it, cleaning the brushes, getting the paint set up, making sure the paint's not congealed or whatever it is, having all the different colours. What if you run out of certain colours?
Yeah, or what about you mixing your own colours and then you try and do the next colour, the same colour the next day, and it's like a tone off or it's different, and you're like, fuck this. I can't be bothered.
It's actually a crazy art form. The more I think about it, I'm like,
I respect amazing painters. I'm like, hats off, man. You guys are fucking incredible. I don't have the patience for that.
Do you have a bit of a ranking of where you sort of rate art in terms of, do you sort of see, as you said, painting is like one of the highest forms or expressions of art?
I think there's so many different styles. Like I did a lot of, I was a little graffiti fucking rat when I was young, when I was like 18, when I was 8.
What was your tag?
We're not going to fucking talk about that. It didn't matter, bro. I was toy as fuck. I didn't give a shit.
Was that a little Easter egg?
Yeah. But, and then I got out of that and I ended up doing a lot of street art and, painting murals with some guys when I was in high school because my mum knew I was going down that road and she was like, nah, do murals. And I think like really good street artists are fucking top notch, like all graffiti or spray cans, like freehand shit. I think that's amazing. I have so much respect for that. Even like graffiti writers, I think, there's some real burners out there and I've always got a time to just like admire a sick piece. I think it's like really cool.
Do you have a vision of, when I go through Perth City, there's like one side of one of the taller buildings, there's this like incredible Indigenous artwork.
Yeah, I know. I always look at that every day when I walk.
It's amazing, right? You look at that and you're like, insane that someone's done this on this side of this building. Like it's just so cool.
Yeah,
such a great,
it's like some top tier shit. I just think that shit is like, how the fuck can you do that? Like, how do you process to be able to be like, all right, the face is there, because you can't really sketch that out. You'll just have to have a rough idea of where you want things. And that guy would have been up and down on a scissor lift or something. Like, that's fucking gnarly. Some gnarly shit.
Yeah, I wonder whether or not, you set up like a drone further away so you can start to get more of a view or something like that, or... it's hard to contemplate. And I think that's what really I love about like amazing street art pieces is contemplating how they started it, where was the starting point, how was the idea. And I think Perth has some incredible street artists, really top tier guys. And I fucking admire the shit out of it. I wish I pursued it more. I was definitely painted a few murals in my life for places and things like that. And I wish I carried that on, but yeah, I think like street artists are top tier. I think painters are also amazing, just oil painting. I've done it like once or twice at uni. And my teacher was like, you need to be more free, bro. You need to be more abstract. And then he fucking just stabbed my canvas with a Stanley knife and like cut it up. It was like, there you go, self-expression. And I was like, fuck you, bro. Damn, dude.
Yeah.
Don't fuck with my artwork.
Yeah, I fucking hated that. And then I was just like, yeah, I'm not.
Should have done it to his car and be like, expression, bro.
Yeah, literally. I thought I could key your car, fuck you, bro.
He unleashed the beast.
Yeah.
What I was getting at for that was, is there something that I see that mural on the side of the building, I'm like, wow, that's like an incredible thing, and whoever did that art, which now that I think about it, I should probably learn who did that. But they must go like, it's a real achievement, some cool thing that they've done, right? Do you have something in your mind of where you'd like to end up, where you'd like to see artwork at some point in time?
Not really. I mean, I'm not phased. Like, I was selling a lot of prints back in the day and a lot of stickers, and I thought that was sick, just like having my artwork around the world. People were buying all my prints from like all over the place, and I think that was sick. That for me was enough, There was a period where I was like, I'm going to become a full-time artist. I'm going to dedicate this, blah, blah, blah. But it's hard, and you got to work really hard. And, at the time, I was going through a lot mentally and just fucking life, and I was like, I don't think I can do this. Like, and then I backed off it slowly. And the other thing was that putting all that pressure on to be like, this is what I want to do. This is what I'm, it takes the fire out. You lose the passion for it. You start just being like, oh, I'm just fucking doing another drawing to please the social media people. Like, I don't know, man. I lost a lot of connection to it. And when that shit happens, I burn out real quick.
Yeah, I'd love to hear a bit more about that, because I can imagine whether it be social media or the pressure of it having to financially support you, that has to be a struggle. That the bulk of if not all artists face
Exactly.
one time or another, right? Like how long did it take you to sort of recognize that something's amiss here?
I think you really gotta reflect on your own talent. You know, you can always get better. You can always keep drawing. And I think what the issue is that you'll devote yourself so hardcore to the idea of, I'm going to do all these exhibitions or whatever, I'm going to make a lot of money. I'm going to pretty much, you're running a business, your own business. I've never had business training. I wasn't fucking good at it. All the money I was making off my prints, I'd be like, woo, let's buy some shoes. Let's fucking,
let's go.
let's have a big weekend. And I just I just didn't do it right. And I'd love to go, hopefully one day I can restart that, and rejig my mindset on it. But the burnout was there, and I just I don't know, man, you end up doing art not for yourself. That was my issue, and I can't speak for anyone else, but I was doing art for the social media people so they can fucking like that shit and be like, that's sick. And then, yeah, it would be sick. I'd be happy with it.
I was one of those people.
You were, thank you. I appreciate that shit. But yeah, and I don't know, man. It's just, the burnout hit me real hard, and then I went traveling for a while and did my own thing, and just came back and was like, all right, let's retackle it. And now I'm trying to do a whole different style, which I haven't really done much of digitally. So,
and this is just for yourself at the moment?
For myself. I'm
cool.
trying to do Warhammer artwork.
Sick.
Like actually drawing it. Warhammer, like the old school White Dwarf books. I don't know if you know much about Warhammer.
I only know a fraction amount, a little bit of the lore from when Mac played it.
Yeah.
So my brother, he actually had the figurines, and we would set them up in paint, and he would verse me, but I was too young to really understand what was going on, so he'd always beat me.
I mean, we're not going to go on the lore because we'll be here for fucking 10 days talking about it. But yeah, when I was young, we used to get all the old White Dwarf books, the old school books, which is like their monthly magazine pretty much. But I was always fucking captivated by the artwork in these things, just like some grim, dark, brutal looking shit. It's fucking sick. Sometimes it's just black and white, but the detail was insane. And I've been hella into Warhammer for the last maybe 2 years now. So it's definitely something that I want to partake, get back into painting my figurines and some real fucking neckbeard nerdy shit. But I love it. And then so my art style, I want to try and learn a painterly style digitally. So instead of being illustrative, I want to learn to paint more with a digital product.
What is the difference of paint and illustration?
I think a lot of my drawings in the past, you tackle it from an illustrative perspective. So you will do your rough lines, you'll do your sketching, and then you'll add your color, your flat color, and then you'll add a highlight color, you'll add a tone color. You'll come back over with a an outline mark, pen or whatever, So it's very illustrative-y. It's almost like anime looks, things like that. It's just block colors. No, I never really was a blender, things like that.
And you uncovered that. So would you watch tutorial to sort of be how's the style? How do you generate this style, or is it again you sort of a lot of playing around?
Playing around and looking at the artists that I was hell fucking with, and then I'd be like, that's sick, and then when I'm doing my own drawing, I'd be looking at their profile and seeing how they're doing things, and I'd be like, okay, that's kind of how I need to mimic it, things like that. But now when I'm doing painterly, it's different because you'll do a rough sketch, but then the way you're building the shapes is with tone and value. So you'll put a full, for example, a grey backdrop, and it's all grey, and then you'll add dark greys and whites to build the shape up. So it will go from a flat shape to almost like a 3D shape because you're building it up with tone and value, and then you can add color on top and things like that. I'm not the best at it. I'm still learning. I'm still trying to get it going, but it's definitely a fucking curveball for me, and I'm trying to figure it out because I know that if I just put my head down and keep at it, I've done 2 drawings now like that, and already I've improved because I'm understanding the process more. So I just watch videos as well. You watch your favorite artist doing an explanation video of how he did this, and then it's okay, that makes sense, cool.
Because it's always, to a non-artist like myself, you go around a museum, let's just say, or a gallery, and for me, like sometimes pieces you're like, wow, that's really cool, and sometimes you're like, I just don't get this at all.
Oh yeah.
But I think with anything, when you learn like a small amount to allow you to appreciate like the different contexts of even just the technique of what's going on, I think that allows for a lot more just at least enjoyment or acknowledgement of, wow, what a difficult piece, or like what a crazy way of doing it. And that was something I hadn't learnt until, I mean, it's probably one of the only things I know about art is the difference between using, and like, let's just say when you're drawing a face and you draw like the jaw and you draw the top of the head, and then you do the nose or the eyelid and the mouth, like, so you're doing, as you said, like an outline and illustration to structure, as opposed to the version which I think is what you're saying, where you're building it up, and that may just be simply go, I'm just going to paint the color that I see rather than necessarily shapes or structures, and you're trying to basically really just follow what your interpretation of the color is. Is that sort of the same style of thing?
Yeah, literally, like, there's this guy I follow on fucking TikTok, and he's a hell amazing oil painter. He does like little examples, but he'll always be like, you have this image of your face you want to paint, you'll have like the flat color done, or not even, you like squint your eyes so you can figure out where the dark parts are, where the highlights are, and then he just starts, he'll just put a dark part in, and then he'll outline, like brush in a fucking highlight area, and then he'll fill it in the middle, and then it just over time the face just gets more detailed and more color gets added and the shape takes form, and it's fucking impressive. It's very like satisfying to watch.
I think for me that is a more interesting style of art. If I was to perform it myself,
for sure.
The reason why I say that is because if I'm trying to do something like an outline for an illustration, and when I used to draw, the only way that I could draw was I'd have to just look at the object and not focus on what I'm doing, and do what's it called, like contour drawing or something, where you basically like in your mind are sort of following where you think the lines will be, but you're not paying that much attention to what's going on, like a little bit here and there. For me, that was always the most fun way to do any version of art, because then I wasn't as worried about the product,
the outcome,
what it actually looks like, the outcome. It always was like, oh, we'll just see what happens, like what comes out of this, and it didn't matter so much. But as soon as I'd like go back to it and be like, oh, should it be a little bit more? And you pay too much attention to what you think it should look like,
and then you overdo it.
Then you fuck it.
You fuck it.
You fucking so hard.
I've fucked so many shit up before because I'm like, oh, that line is just not right. I'll go back, and then you go back, and then you're like, it still looks like dog shit. You go back again, you're like, oh, fuck this thing. You try and work on other areas, and then you just fucked everything up. And I just never returned to it.
It's funny that, because that's the other thing about art, right? Is like any skill or trying to develop any skill, it's incredibly frustrating.
Oh yeah,
because there's a level that you'd like to be at, and there's so much you don't know, and there's so many mistakes you make along the way, and so all those things create this huge amount of frustration. How did you manage that, I guess, during your artistic process, and was that even a contributor to like burnout?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've got like fucking 10 canvases that are like half painted, and I just leave them there hoping one day that I'll return to it, which I won't. I'll never fucking return to these shit. I just never will. I'd like to. It'd be a cool experience, but I just don't give a fuck enough. I'm like, oh, these things can just throw out. But yeah, definitely like, I think you'll try something, it won't work out in your favor, and I think you're going to get to a point where it's like, do I keep going and push through this block to figure it out, or do I just give up and fucking do something else? And it's a bit of both. It depends how attached you are to the work. Like, I think a lot of my digital drawings, I was pretty attached to them. So I was like, I'd sit away from it for a while, or maybe even come back 2 or 3 days later and be like, fresh mind, let's dedicate some time to figuring it out. And once you get over that block, it's a learning experience because you figured it out. And that's, I pursued that mostly with my digital art, but if I was doing a fucking painting or something, I'd be like, nah, I don't give a shit anymore. I can't figure this out. And then like, I got this painting at home, and I wanted to paint it first, and it was like a geisha woman with, you know that chick from Mortal Kombat, like Melina, and she's got hell gnarly teeth.
Oh, yeah.
So I wanted to give this like beautiful geisha woman who was like holding fucking a skull that like kind of jaw and piss and blood out and saliva. Tried to paint it, fucking hated it, and then just did it digitally and it was perfect. And I was like, awesome, solid outcome. Still got that canvas. Just
sitting, just sort of taunting you.
I'll just throw it out one day.
Well, it would be an interesting thing as like or just an interesting exercise to return to it. And as you say, to truly not give a fuck, but just to see what you can make from it.
It's actually very true. It's very true.
Not even to complete what your original intention was, but just to see what comes out, seeing if you just go like, imagine almost that it was blank or that you were faced with a different challenge, but not the perfect one that you'd originally tried to do.
It's actually not a bad idea.
Shotgun.
Yeah. Thanks, Daddy. Thanks for the lessons, Master.
The other thing about your illustrative style at the moment is it seemed like an approachable art style, and there's like two things I'd like to get to. One, we briefly touched on like the inspiration as to where it sort of came from originally. So I'd like to get back to that. But then on the second point would be, again, like that process that you originally described of like you set a base layer down and then you set the next layer or whatever.
Yeah.
Is that how you would, if you were trying to teach, the 5-year-old, whatever, like the process of trying to build up something in an illustration like that, is that how you sort of talk about it?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I think when you're trying to teach someone to draw who's never really put a lot of effort in a drawing, you've got to, I guess, dumb it down, and also they know that their expectations aren't going to be amazing. So when I lived in Germany, I got a scholarship to Germany to study art there, and I lived there for a year. And I was teaching some of my roommates how to draw, and I'd be like, draw me an eye or draw an apple, and they'd draw however they wanted to draw it. I'd be like, just fucking do it and don't worry about any criticism. Draw it how you think it looks right now. And then over the period of time, we'll keep doing drawings, and I'll develop their idea of visually looking at the object better. So you're actually observing it. You're figuring out the lines that's in it, the form, the shape. And then say a month later, it'd be like, draw me an eye or an apple. And then it'd be way different. It would have developed. So I think if that's how I had to teach someone, I would. But also with stylistic approach, if someone wanted to learn how to do, say, my style, it'd be, very much just like sketch lines, pick your colors, put your flat color down first always, and then add the tones into it. So dark, you could add.
What do you mean by a flat color?
Flat color is like, say, I draw a coffee cup, and then I know that light's hitting it from here, and the shadow's coming from this side. So I'll put the main color of it down. So that cup's blue. I'll put that main blue down. That's a flat color.
Right. Okay.
And then you'll come in with highlight colors and
shadows.
Colors.
Okay. Yeah. Then you're building around that.
Yeah.
Whatever you think the flat color is.
Yeah.
Okay. Gangster.
Yeah.
So then, how much of your artistic design revolves around the shadow and light?
Oh, and like everything. Like, yeah. You need it to take form, especially like, and this is one thing I'm still learning, which I'm not very good at, is how to get shadows and lights correct. A lot of people will be like, so this is your drawing. Where do you want your light source coming from? Where do you imagine the light coming from? If it's coming from the top, you know that, say, the shoulders are going to have a lot more light on them. You're going to have darker parts underneath your shadow. Like, you got to imagine where the light's hitting and then where the shadow's coming from. So the shadow's always going to be on the opposite side. But fuck, man, in a lot of my drawings, I just wing that shit. I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. And then it doesn't. And then I look back at it, I'm like, oh, it's good enough.
Is that, again, is there like a maths to it in a way? Like, is there sort of a recipe of you can sort of, I don't know. I mean, because, right, there's like 3D generators out there which can generate like, you move a light over here.
Yep.
So there has to be some program, I guess, that you could replicate from a drawing point of view, but it's mostly just you're basing off an experience and look, right?
Yes, yeah. So you're literally figuring it off experience. The more you take note of it within each painting or drawing, the better and better you're going to get. And then you can start adding dynamic lights, dynamic shadows. You can add another source of light in. So the more that you do it and the more time you spend on understanding it, I definitely watch a lot of tutorials on it because it's the one thing that I know can elevate any drawing. or any artwork is just dynamic lighting and shadows, getting really good at it. So it's definitely something to keep that I need to look into more, but I think it's a huge basis for making an image interesting.
Well, because again, if to me it makes, I would imagine it's so much easier for me to attempt to draw that coffee cup, and because I can look at it and then I can sort of be like, well, it's darker there and it's like a bit lighter there, and it's like I can at least, I've got something in front of me that I can try and mimic in, like, you know, with whatever I'm drawing or making with. But your characters are all, you know, these fantasy sort of fiction. Do you have printouts of them? Like, how are you sourcing? Are you doing it from imagination or memory?
It's a lot of reference images. Just like taking ideas. That's cool. I might add that in. You know, I'll look up an image of, like, you know, like that fucking Darth Maul one I did. I was like, all right, let's look up an image of Darth Maul, and then let's look up an image of like a Japanese samurai Oni mask, like the demon masks. So how can I incorporate both of them together? You look up samurai armor, you look up examples of people drawing samurais. You get the idea of what you like, you know, and you just add bits and bobs. But then when it comes to like the finished product and adding the shadows and the highlights and the fades, that's on you, because it's like, all right, well, the drawing's pretty much at a level where I need to add the values in now. Where the fuck am I putting this light source? What is going on? You know, that's kind of where it becomes your own process. Once you've done the sketching and you figured it all out and you've done like flat colors, it's from that. That's my favorite part, is when you just start coloring it in, pretty much.
It's a cool thing to think that you've, I don't know if anyone's done what you've done beforehand.
Probably.
But it's a cool thing that you sort of just go like, oh, here's a fusion of a couple of things I like, and how do I interpret the fusion of these two things? And that ends up being, well, it's art in the definition, I guess, of it's looking at the world and combining things and sort of putting out your interpretation of what that thing might be. Like, it's kind of cool to think that fusion is sort of what happens for art to actually occur.
Yeah.
And for the history of the Oni mask, right? Like, I don't really know anything about Japanese culture and samurais besides from, I agree, I think they're cool.
Sick ass.
Super cool.
I think he's the most badass warrior in ancient civilization.
Why do you think that?
I just think their whole philosophy and the practice and the honor they had and the viciousness that they had, you know, I just think they're fucking badass, bro. The practice of, I can't remember if they were like Zen Buddhists or Taoists, I can't remember, but just like, I think their methodology, their philosophy, everything about them, it really resonated with me really well. They looked badass, you know, like, see images in like Last Samurai of like the fucking samurais coming out with their helmets, like full geared up, gnarly marks on, things like that. I just thought, fuck, if I was like a little foot soldier on some Mongol fucking Genghis Khan clan and I saw this cunt walking up to me with like swords, I'd be like, oh man,
shit,
I'm gonna sit this one out. Fuck this.
Do you know much about the history of the Oni mask? Is it more of a threat or aggressive sort of thing to sort of dissuade engagement? Do you know anything about it?
I know a little bit, like really minimal surface level, but I think it was more, there's certain types of masks in the Japanese culture, and a lot of them were acting masks. So like those plain white masks that people would wear, I think Oni's masks would also be considered in the acting roles, but I think predominantly they were used as samurais, and I think it'd probably be a certain rank of samurai, and it'd be definitely like a gear, a get up to threaten,
intimidate
your opponent. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I know a little bit about some of what you've done with yourself overseas. Did you ever speak with, been to Japan to meet samurais, done anything of that nature?
That would be, Japan's on my hot list. I'd love to. I've always dreamed of going to Japan and just like going to the countryside and really fucking off into some weird shit, you know, like finding some farmers that I can chill out with for a while and learn their peaceful ways, things like that. I think that'd be sick. I have gone to China. I trained in Tai Chi and Wushu in the Wudang Mountains for around a year. which was fucked, which is wild times.
They're a gangster.
Yeah, that was sick. The only reason I went to these mountains as well because I was hell in a Wu-Tang Clan, and I remember stories of the RZA being like, he went to Wu-Tang province to learn fucking Tai Chi and martial arts and the way of the Taoism, and I was like, I'm fucking doing that.
Damn. So you listened to Wu-Tang Clan and then decided to follow what?
It's just something I don't know. It was weird, bro. It was I was going through a pretty gnarly time in my life, you know, like lost a few friends, things like that. And I was like, I need some like rapid self-development. I want to go get chucked in the deep end. So I told my best mate, I was like, bro, I'm going to go train in martial arts for a year in the middle of fucking China. Do you want to come up on the mountains? He was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's send it. So we both went. And yeah, the only reason I went was because I just knew that the RZA, and I'm pretty sure Ghostface went as well. I think Ghostface went with him. Went and did that shit. And then I read their book while I was there, which was sick. It's the first book I've read in like 7 years.
Well, okay, so you go do this training. Like what happens when you first arrive? Like how do you set up to do this?
I don't know, man. It was so fucking.
Did you have to is it like an Airbnb booking experience?
No,
yes, I would like to join.
I just I think I remember like before I found it, I was just on Reddit like looking up like. I have no idea. I can't remember, and then I just stumbled across it, and I was like, "Fuck, that would be sick. Like, it'd be cool to go live that lifestyle for a bit, have that experience, see what happens." And then I booked it.
Had you already been doing the style of art that we've been talking about, your illustrative art? Was this even pre, or this was like post that you'd done this?
That trip really influenced me to get down this style of art.
It's going to go down. So run me through a little bit of like, what is the experience? A year of this. And it's a long time for anything, but I want to particularly know if you can recall that first week.
It was fucked. It was fucked.
Yeah, I bet.
I was not ready.
Yeah, of course.
I was so not ready. I fucking sucked the dick being there, bro. It was hard. So you get you spend like 1 day just getting acclimatized to it. Plus it's literally in the middle of nowhere. It was like a 23-hour train ride from Beijing up into this province, and then you go up to the mountains and you visit the school. It wasn't like a Buddhist school, because I know that a lot of the Buddhist kung fu schools there are pretty commercialized, and I didn't want that experience. I wanted some like fucking raw shit. So this school wasn't, and it was fucking wild, man. Yeah, you the very next day they'll come bang on your door, like all the monks, get up, like you go do qigong for about an hour at like 5:30 in the morning. So practice breathing and slow movements. You'd smash breakfast, and then you would train all day, have lunch, train all day. You get a little break in the afternoon, and then you go to meditation practice. And then usually the master would come in and teach you some things about Taoism and philosophy. And then you do a final good, like a nighttime training session, and you just rinse and repeat. So it'd be from 5:30 in the morning till about 8:30, 9 o'clock at night. So you'd be fucked by the end of it.
Are you guys, is everyone speaking English? What's the go?
There was a few international students there, some real nomadic motherfuckers. So they were there, so you could teach, you'd follow what they're doing. And some of the coaching monks knew very limited English. Thankfully, my best mate, he still lives in China now. He studied Chinese at uni, or Mandarin. Mandarin, yeah. So
and Cantonese, but mostly Mandarin.
So he could handle a little bit of the conversation, but a lot of the time they just look at you, demonstrate what to do, and then they'd either yell at you or not really praise you. It's always yelling.
Mostly yelling.
Yeah.
How many people are around you?
If we had the traditional kids there, probably be maybe like the internationals, there was probably like 15 of us, and then the traditional kids and all the monks, it'd be about 200.
Was this like an expensive thing to do?
Cost me $1,500.
$1,500 for a year?
Yeah.
That's insane.
I'm sure it's more expensive now.
Yeah.
Oh, man, if I wanted to go get food and shit like that, on my own.
Sure, but the food there and
so you'd be provided like 3 foods. There's always 3 meals throughout the day, 1 meat meal. The rest was all vegetarian and vegan. And fucking great food. You'd be a bit wary sometimes. Sometimes you don't know if there's fucking dog or whatever in there. It was a province where they did eat dog as well. So you'd be a bit wary of the meat.
Better ask, just don't ask.
Yeah, I just wouldn't really eat the meat meals. I just stick to the vegan meals. But yeah, and then you'd be shitting fucking 3 times a day because you're training so hard. You're burning all that energy. You'd just be fucking I think I had the healthiest poos of my life.
Mate, maybe you need to go back to the Wu-Tang diet.
Fix that IBS.
So training from 5:30 to 8:30. How much of it? Because you're saying Tai Chi. It's like sort of a Tai Chi.
So Qigong is a slow form Tai Chi, super slow.
So I already thought Tai Chi was quite slow in its nature.
It is. It can be fast though. It's like fast Tai Chi, slow Tai Chi. But Qigong is very different. Qigong is like so you'd have the 5 animal styles. So it'd be jaguar, crane, mantis, snake, and fucking one more. Can't remember the last one. So you'd go through each style and very slowly breathe through it. It's pretty incredible. It's fucking great for you. Like really good, like mind, body connection, things like that. So you do that every morning because it was almost like morning meditation. And then you do a little bit of Tai Chi. I mostly formed on the Wushu side, so technically Kung Fu. And we practiced fast form tiger style, which is sick, but I was so trash at it. At the end, like you'd have to perform every like month or 2 for the master in front of the whole school. And like, yeah, the master would just be sitting there being like, these cunts are useless.
And you just see the look of disappointment.
Constant. And my coach would be there and he'd be like even more disappointed. And I'm like, brother, I'm trying. Sorry, I've been doing this for my whole fucking life.
So on the whole, did you feel that you were, like, do you think it's a legitimate martial art in its ability to defend, attack, whatever?
Yeah, I think, man, if you've trained in that all your life, like, they do a lot of like body conditioning, like, they do hard qigong, which is you'd like stay in there and you'd be breathing and they'd be smacking you with sticks and you just got to like breathe through it and breathe through the pain. So they condition your mind to be able to get used to hitting and things like that. And I think like they learn fucking the most gnarliest kicks ever and they kick hard, bro, and they kick strong and you don't want to get hit by the kicks. I think their fucking punching was a bit, how you going? But, yeah, for sure, if you went up against someone like that, your average Joe and against a guy, like there's one cunt called Gao. Gao was a 13th disciple to the master, like fucking beast, fucking 6'5", like Chinese guy, just fucking shit brick house. Kind of remind me of, you seen Jack Reacher?
Yeah,
Remind me of that guy, but Asian, but fuck me, he was a beast, man. He was so brutal with us as well, like forceful stretching, like no wonder heaps of internationals get injured during stretching because they'd like sit on you and like force you into stretching that you're not used to.
My lord.
Yeah, real bad. Like we'd be doing side split stretching and they'd come and just sit on your back.
Oh.
Yeah. Fuck. And I was like crying at one point, being like, you fucking cut. And then like I'd get up and he'd be like, good job, walk away. And I'm like, fucking dog. But yeah, I think if you went up against that guy on the street, he would fucking...
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to go up against any 6'5" dude that's jacked anyway.
Even the smaller guys, man, the smaller guys are nuts. Just so quick, man, and powerful. Like real. I think that was the one thing that was really cool about Qigong and Tai Chi, and especially in that when you combine all three, is that you learn to center the power. So you know that you're building the power up. Like they take power from the ground up all the way through to the end product. And so when you'd see them fucking hitting, like they do sparring. I'd never joined the sparring, but you'd see like the monks spar each other, and fuck me, they would go to town on each other, like hitting each other hard. But they're so conditioned for it. Like I was like, man, if that was me in there, I would be getting made piss.
How often that body conditioning where you're getting smacked up? How often is that happening?
On us internationals, not a lot.
Okay.
It was on the traditional kids, like you'd see the fucking 6-year-old kids who are pretty much, they're bad kids. Families just get rid of them, so they put them in these schools for the rest of their lives pretty much till they can become adults and do their own things. Really sad, actually. There's a lot of kids there just from delinquent shithole families that just get passed on to these schools.
It's kind of crazy that goes on at the same time. In my head, I'm like, that's almost like one of the best foster.
Oh yeah, they end up
I've
becoming like
ever
so disciplined and insane, and
at least I don't know, were the girls there as well?
Yeah, girls and guys, yeah. So, but you know, you'd see those kids getting practice like the hard Shigun, just getting smacked with sticks like every day. Yeah,
it's weird to think that I'm like, it's obviously not great that they're getting shoved in somewhere, but if you're gonna get shoved anywhere,
it'd be something like
some
that.
sort of a martial arts school that's teaching you philosophy. Like mind matter, philosophy. Yeah. I mean, you could do a lot worse.
Exactly.
You cop a few beatings, I guess, but it's not because.
I mean, you're
just like because there's a drunk stepdad or something coming back.
Yeah, literally.
You're doing it. Like everyone's getting beaten, whether you're a young kid or some old person or whatever.
You'd see a lot of kids crying, bro. You'd see a lot of kids crying during training because they just.
You're allowed to like hug them?
No, man. And plus they were scared of you, intimidated. Yeah, right. They'd be like, Wai Go Ren. Wai Go Ren is like foreigner in Chinese and Mandarin. But me and my mate, Dan.
Is that like a racial slur or is it just like a.
It sounds like one.
Yeah. I'm just like, oh.
But no. They just call you foreigner and wouldn't really know how to address you. Me and Danny would fuck around with him, you know, have fun with him on the weekends. You'd only have a day and a half off a week. So,
are you during this whole process? Are you pretty much just staying within the school the whole time? Yeah. Are you traveling to other parts of China at times?
I'd stay at the school mostly the whole time, sleeping there. We would on our day and a half off, we'd go because you're surrounded by mountains and monasteries and temples, so
go for hikes,
you go for hikes, you know, go see the shit, or you go to the hostel in the town, and because there were other schools there, other martial arts schools there'd be other internationals who were at these schools, so you'd go and meet up with them at the hostel and have a couple drinks or whatever and get a bit silly one night a week.
I was going to say, so there'd be occasional social drinking events or meeting with any romantic connections at times?
No romantic ones over there, mate. I was getting my ass kicked every day. I have no interest in that.
Okay. Do you guys, is it a lot of...
Couple of hot girls there, though.
It was?
Yeah, Chinese birds.
Okay, but you weren't in that zone.
No.
That was not your...
I was battling life lessons every day.
So how long before you felt like you kind of settled in or started to feel like, I'm comfortable with this routine?
Probably after my mate left, he went to Shanghai, and then I was kind of on my own, and you were just forced into it. You just had to fucking get used to it.
How long was that? How long?
I think about 3 or 4 months.
Okay, so he bailed after 3 or 4 months.
And I actually moved out of the school, and went and lived with this Norwegian girl who like saved my life. I had no money, nothing, bro. I was fucking broke as shit, and she let me live in her apartment. She was training at the martial arts university in the same province, so she let me live in her apartment for 3 months for I think $30.
Wow.
Yeah, so she really helped me out. She was a gnarly chick though.
Gnarly chick?
Yeah, gnarly bitch.
What does that mean?
Just some fucking weird times.
Weird times?
She's like 6'8", like fucking beast Norwegian chick, really good at martial arts, lived in China for like 6 years, like top tier, like female martial artist there in that province. But yeah, she was just a bit weird, a bit freaky sometimes. Didn't know how to handle it.
How was she, older, younger?
Yeah, she was older. Yeah, probably a couple of years older than me, maybe like third. I reckon she would have been 30 at the time, so I would have been about 25, 26.
What's the difference between, so you're at the school, but the university is different?
University is, you're pretty much getting a degree in martial arts.
You can get a degree?
Over there, yeah, get a degree. It takes a long time, though. It's not like your average 3 or 4 year degree. You're pretty much training under like top tier martial artists for a long time, and then you...
then be a teacher eventually?
I think that's where it goes to. You can be a trainer pretty much. But I think you could do the same thing essentially if you joined one of the schools like I was in as an international and you become a disciple. I had some friends who were disciples to the masters, so they still go there to this day once a year for 4 or 5 months training and learning from their master. And then once that you're a disciple, when you come back to your hometown, you can teach as well.
So why did you stay for 12 months? Was that the original plan?
It was because I'd planned to go to India after and do my yoga teaching license. So, and I just wanted to get the fuck out of Perth for as long as I could. And my mum was always big on us just traveling, solo traveling. So stayed there for a while. I was actually planning on backpacking around China. I wanted to see a few places, ran out of money, unfortunately, so I had to kind of stay put. Ran into a visa issue just before I left, which was pretty nervous, pretty scary. I was potentially looking at like a month in Chinese jail.
Ooh.
And I was like, this is just like a shit situation. And this is where I'm honestly...
At least you had all that wushu behind you.
Oh, bro, I'm so honestly thankful for that Norwegian chick at this point because she was fluent in Mandarin. And she went to like the visa consult, which we had to trek for like, I think about 8 hours to get there.
Wow.
In another province. And and they were like trying to reject my idea. You know, all I needed was an extension for 2 weeks so I could leave to India. And she just fucking let it rip, bro, in the province. She was like full power, bro, going nuts on these Chinese dudes. And I was just sitting there like chilling. She was like, why are you not stressing out? And I'm like, I don't know. It seems like you're all over it. So I'm just...
yeah, I believe in you.
I'm just going to chill out. But yeah, she got it all sorted for me. And then I fucking couldn't wait. At that point, bro, towards the end of my trip, I just couldn't wait to get out of China. I just had enough.
Been there long enough.
Yeah. China was like, the way I explained it was China was brutally hard. Fucking life lessons just punching me in the face every day. Met amazing people, man. Met some really fucking beautiful people that taught me like insane lessons about life, you know, things that I've just never forgotten. And then when I went to India, it was like, okay, you just went through a year of hell, chill out, showcase what you learned. And India for me was like one of the most important memories of my life, in the fact that it was like I really loved myself. I was really proud of myself. It was a sense of true self-love there. And for that, like, that's where I'm thankful for China, because it was like a year of fucking hardship to allow myself to have I think I was there for like 4 months in India, to chill out and be me and be free. It was sick. It was beautiful.
So did you get out of China what you were originally looking for? Did you know what you were looking for when you left?
No, I had no idea. I was just going to fucking shake up my life a bit, really. I had no idea what was happening. I had no idea what was going to happen. I just went there on a whim.
And then you said before as well that there were some pretty crazy life lessons. Anything that sort of stands out to you in China from some of those people?
It's one guy, Jackie. He was my kung fu brother. Jackie Chung, can't remember.
Jackie Chan, you might have seen him in a few movies.
Yeah, Drunken Master, brother. You know that guy? Nah, and he was this fucking weird little Chinese guy who had a scholarship to Chicago in the USA to study film. And so he could speak English, but his fucking English was like this weird Chicago accent style English. And you'd look at him, this like little Chinese guy, you're like, fuck, it just doesn't make sense. Yeah. It's just, but he said to me, because we were sitting, this is when my friend had left, and me and him were so my friend had gone to Shanghai, so it was just me and this Jackie Chi guy. And we were just chilling at the temple one day, and I was watching the traditional kids training, and it was cool to watch. You know, I'd always watch them every day. And he was sitting next to me, and he just goes out of nowhere. He's like, you know, Jordan, there's one thing I've realized a lot about, you know, experiences in life. And I was like, what do you mean? He goes like, you know, a lot of people will go through things solo and think that that's an experience in life that's like fulfillment for them. But he's like, but what it is to me is going through something in life and having a connection made with a person, or having someone there that you're going through with or throughout this experience. That's what makes the experience. It's that connection with someone who is doing something the same as you, completely random, you've never met before, but it's that memory that you'll have with that person or these group of people that made the experience what it is. And I was like, fuck. And I like literally went home that night, and I was just thinking about it, and I was like reflecting on my whole trip in China, and I was like, all the people I've met, and I was like, damn, man, it just made so much sense to me. It's like one of those moments where you hear a quote and it just fucking hits you raw, it hits you deep. And I was like, fuck me, man. Jackie Cheese fucking sending me on these life lessons, brother. My master, my kung fu brother.
My Jackie Cheese wisdom dropping bombs.
He was always so funny. He'd be like, oh, Jordan, I feel your chi today. Your chi is strong. And I was like, fucking me, man. I'm done. I'm so exhausted right now. I'd be like, chi is strong. You need good girl. And I'm like, yeah, it's been a while.
All of us need a bit of a Jackie Chi.
Oh, bro, he's a fucking great guy. I wonder what that cunt's doing nowadays.
When was the last time have you spoken to him?
When I like first left China and when I was back in Australia, we'd talk here and there, but I haven't heard from him. He was sending me like a birthday message here and there. Maybe I should hit him up. I also met this Navy SEAL guy, retired, fucking Rob. Probably the nicest guy I've ever met in my life. Like, serious deployment service and serious fucking army guy. Gnarly traumas. But fucking just me and him were like two peas in a pod. He was like 40-something as well. Hell gnarly motherfucker. But we just like got each other so well, like sense of humor wise. We'd just be like, oh, he was just the best human being in the world. I don't know what's happened with him. I've tried to contact him a lot, taught him yoga a lot, and he ended up coming over to India at the same time I did to get a yoga teaching license. But yeah, honestly, I haven't heard from him, I can't track him down. I don't know what's going on, so I do hope he's okay.
Shout out to those boys.
Yeah, shout out.
So China, you go through this hectic experience where it's for 6 out of 7 days or something. You're basically training day in, day out.
Yeah.
Did you feel like, because you've come in, you said sort of you needed to leave Perth. You know, there'd been stuff going on. You'd lost some friends. Emotions were high. And I don't know if this guy speaks into the mental stuff as well, but you know, over the course of that year, what was going on mentally for you? Did you find that there was, you know, some sort of, I don't know, benefit or therapeutic effect going on, or how did you find that process mentally for you over the course of that year? It's
actually a really good question. No one has ever asked me that. Fuck. I think if I look back at it, it's just being present, man. Being present, being there every day, no distractions, clean slate. I can be whoever the fuck I want to be. You know, I can be myself. I could just be myself. There was no pressure. And every day you're doing a lot of physical training, a lot of meditation. So you become very present in the moment. And it also allowed me a lot to reflect on, like, you know, one of my best friends was murdered when we were like 21, you know, so that was really hard for me to get over. But it gave me a lot of time to reflect on that, you know, and I think for me, definitely the most valuable thing I got from it was being present, but then also having the space without fucking distractions of, I got to go to work, the boys are messaging me, or, you know, blah, blah, blah. But having that space and time to yourself to really sit down and fucking reflect on things and process things, that was, that was priceless.
Were you writing during that period?
I was.
Were you taking notes?
I was journaling hardcore. Yeah, I still got my journal. I still read back. I definitely was going through a lot. I went through a lot of self-comparison. Because my mate Dan was just like, he's just like one of those fucking dicks who's so athletically perfect in every way possible. You know, he's just such a handsome cunt and I love him, but...
A bit like me, yeah.
Yeah, sure. But, you know, I definitely compare myself to him a lot throughout the whole trip, bro, because he was just getting a lot of things a lot easier than I. And I'd actually just, before the trip, fucked my ankle really bad. And I've already broken both my ankles, so it was just like... I couldn't do a lot, you know, because my ankle was still recovering. I think it was like a grade 3 sprain or something like that. Really fucked it. Grade 1. I don't know how they grade that shit. But yeah.
I can tell you, but we don't need to get into that.
I was like, I wonder if he's going to correct me on this.
No.
Dr. Physio, man.
Just, if it's a sprain, we just call it a sprain.
Okay, sick.
For the time being. We don't need to go into the grades at the moment. The grades are basically just whether you've got like a little micro tear or more of a tear or a complete rupture.
It was a rupture. It was a big boy.
All right.
Was that grade 3 then or grade 1? Yeah, sick. I was right. God, I'm smart. But yeah, there's a lot of self-comparison. When I actually, like, I read the journal at least once a year when I look back at it, especially because I journaled all the way through my Indian trip and, like, reading about how much I was in love with myself and how I wrote about myself is inspiring. It's fucking, especially when I'm feeling shit, you know, like it's fucking beautiful to read back. So like I'm glad I journaled, because I read it and I'm like, you know, day 34 training today, it was hard, I was feeling fatigued, blah blah blah, but it's cool to like look back at it and definitely reflect on it all.
Do you think you could have shortcut because I mean the journal itself is like would be a really interesting look over, just getting a sense of the overall tone of how you're writing or feeling, or how often certain thoughts are coming up, or, you know, however that process is going for you. You've got a record, which is very cool.
Yeah.
Do you think that was an option to shortcut the like self-love was it the yoga experience that you think really brought that out, or as you sort of originally referenced, you think it was largely because of this difficult year that you'd given yourself that allowed that option to come through?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, yeah.
That's it. Yeah, and yoga was cool. It was a really good training school. The people I had in that school was fucking amazing human beings. But I could just be myself. Like I was just already so in tune with myself. No fucking pressures of my past, things like that. So when I got to India, it was just like, yeah, a beautiful fucking experience. And we lived in Rishikesh, which is the very north of India, on the foothills of the Himalayas. So you'd see the mountains every day. You'd go hiking through the mountains and things like that. But
so what was different about the Jordan before this trip versus Jordan now in India?
I think the Jordan before just had a lot going on, a lot of demons, a lot of just life, bro. And life was kind of getting overwhelming. Hard to give yourself some time to reflect on it all and try and process shit. And I've always been quite an avoidant guy. If things get a bit hard, I'm out, you know, I'm fucking going to disappear somewhere for a while. And that's technically what I did. I just disappeared for a while. So it was just a more in tune version of myself, I think. Yeah.
And then how long? So you get into India.
Yeah.
Are you still doing art, by the way, during this time?
Yeah. I painted 2 murals in India. Painted one at my yoga school. Hand painted it. It was fucking sick. It's actually probably one of my favorite murals I've ever done. It's huge as well. And then I painted at this hostel. Just this little fucking wall. It was like a fucking fish and like a lotus flower. I don't remember. I was so high when I was doing it, so I can't really remember. Yeah, it was sick though. Yeah, it was fucking. So I was doing heaps of art. Yeah, still drawing a lot.
All through China as well?
Not as much in China.
Okay.
I was very tired in China, so I just. I actually did. Fuck. So I painted that Norwegian girl. So the Taoists have like this map, right? You know, like in yoga, they've got like the chakra map. You know, they explain it all. So
well, I vaguely know.
So the Taoist map is way different and fucking insane, and like I don't know, man. It's got so many levels to it and things like that. So, and I wanted to paint that for the lady who helped me out for giving me that rental space. It took me like 3 months. It was so fine-tuned and really detailed. It was actually probably one of my most favorite things I did. And because I combined it with the chakra colors as well, just to give it my own little flair. And fuck, I need to find a photo of that. I don't know where that would be.
It's good. Did you have iPhones back then? Android? Something like that?
Oh, I probably had. I don't know. I think I had a Huawei because my phone broke in Hong Kong. And then me and Dan found this phone hiking through this mountain. Like it had fallen off a cliff, but it was still working. And I was like, I'm taking this. Yeah, and then you just go to any Chinese phone place, and no matter if it's locked or anything, they'll just unlock it for like $10 and give it to you.
Unreal.
So that's what I did. Sorry, whoever's phone that is.
Huawei phone is now, I'm guessing, MIA?
No, I've still got it. Just doesn't turn on.
Yeah, it might be tough to recover photos, but you might be able to.
Yeah, and it's like locked to Chinese region. So
right. Might be soaking up your data. It's actually not broken. It's just checking in on you.
It's spyware now.
So then in India, what do you think brings out? So is it the practice of yoga, that the sort of self-love that you're talking about? Because I mean, again, this sort of trip on the whole, it does feel. I've spoken to a lot of people that have done travel, thanks to Way Tree, which is now a project that's not really continuing, but a lot of the solo travelers that I spoke to, there was a version of some healing process that a lot of them were going through. Funnily enough, it seems to be a fairly common thing. But all humans suffer to some extent, and so there seems to always be like a partial healing process that's going on at the heart of these like experiences for a lot of people. And I mean, I've had something similar as well. So you get into India though, and now you're practicing into something that's a different philosophy, I'm guessing, really, to what you were day in, day out at China, or at least a variant of it.
Yeah.
So what's that difference like? Are you sort of open to this now? Like, what is this like? What's this yoga practice that sort of bring you into this new stage of what's going on?
I was already doing a lot of yoga before.
You were? Okay.
I'd left China before I went for the trip. I was doing a lot of yoga. So it was more just like fine-tuning what I already knew and understanding. And it was also like a welcomed physical break. It was an enjoyment compared to training fucking 8-9 hours a day and getting your ass kicked. It was just like a welcomed physical break. It was nice to just chill out and mind-body connection, focus, things like that. And because I'd already been doing a lot of it in China, I definitely felt like my skills were elevated before. So going into that transition was definitely a welcomed thing for me. It was just nice to relax, really.
I was just thinking about it. It sounds like it's the physical embodiment of doing something like an ayahuasca trip, right?
Yeah.
Like this, your version of a trip is, not that I've done ayahuasca, but shrooms, maybe we can talk about it in a little bit more detail, but it's sort of like, you go through this period of suffering and you're constantly present throughout that period. And then you get these cycles of like true love and understanding and connection and whatever to the world. And maybe that's why we call drugs a trip. Yeah. Anyway, when it happens, and
it's a good way to look at it. Yeah.
You ended up sort of having this elongated sort of first person experience of it. Yeah. Did you, by the end of, I guess, your trip in India, or I don't know how long that period was for, are you sort of slowly but surely thinking like it's time to return home? Like, where are you sort of at with what you want to do next in life?
I was so unsure. And so after I finished my yoga school, I'd become really good friends with the manager, this guy called Arvind, fucking chiller. And he'd let me sleep in his room up the top. He had like 2 or 3 beds in there. So he's like, you can just crash there. I don't care what you do. And then he also offered to sponsor me to stay longer. And then he took me up to his family's place up in Gorm. I'm pretty sure it's called Gormuk. His family had like a fucking like a farmland up there. Most fucking up in the Himalayas, like beautiful, man. Like most lush grass green. And they drink the cow piss there. How weird. Yeah, so I had some of that and that was whack.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that was invigorating.
That delicacy.
It is, and it's weird, bro. It's like the weirdest, because they reckon that the cows eat the greenest grass, breathe the freshest air.
True, cows are still holy in India as well, and so you're sort of in that.
Yeah, so when they're in that environment, they reckon the cow piss is like medicinal. So I had a shot of it, and I felt it go through my body. I was like, whoa, man, what was that? Never again. But I was the first person, like, there's another international guy, and he's like, no, I'm not doing that. And I was like, fuck it, send it. Did it.
Yeah, look, I would definitely have to do it. If all the locals are doing it, and that's not something you like. Yeah. You just go do it, even if you puke and you disrespect them that way. At least you gave it a shot.
That's it. But yeah, I was there for a while with his family, and we took his goats through the mountains, almost like shepherding, which was sick. It was a fucking wild experience. We just smoke hash all day and wake up on the side of a mountain, take the goats a little bit further, let them chill out, and make our way back to another land. And then after all of that, we came back to Rishikesh, and I was just like, don't know what to do. I had no money whatsoever. I was like bumming it in India. I was like eating street food with they call them the bubbers. Held like dreadlocked Rasta fucking Indian old men with like faces painted and just fucking like gnarly cunts. And I'd just be like sitting on the street smoking hash with them and drinking like chai and things like that. And
did you ever meet a standing bubba?
I don't know what that is.
I could have said that incorrectly, but they're the guys that end up taking a religious vow to never sit down or lie down again.
Oh no, all these cunts were sitting down. smoking heaps of weed, being useless.
I'm sure. I hope that's a real thing. I learned it from Shantaram.
I mean, that'd be pretty cool.
So they end up having like their legs end up like massively swelling because they sleep standing up. Like
I've seen a video of that guy who dedicated his life to having his arm up the whole time, and then his arm got like stuck in that position, and he could never raise it. And I think it's been up for like 60 years.
Yeah, so it's a similar thing that goes on with the guy's legs, and it just ends up destroying, decaying. Like you're on your way out from it, but they do it as some religious vow.
Yeah, wow. No, I never had that.
Reason, yeah.
Never went through any of that. The bubbers I met were just all fucking weird cunts, just smoking hash on the street.
What was your... Did you have a preference between, or like, I don't know, what was your interpretation, or what were the big differences between your China experience in India? They like massively, completely different worlds?
Culturally very different. China, like no hate, but Chinese people, especially when you're that rural, very standoffish. Very don't want a bar of you, bro. Don't want to even acknowledge you're there. Like, they have no interest talking to you. Very standoffish. You feel alone a lot more, especially when I was on my own. It was a lot, even in the school, bro, a lot of the masters would have fuck all time for you if you're an international. But then in India, everyone was welcoming. Everyone was just so happy and excited, especially where I was. It was a beautiful, beautiful yoga city, pretty much, where a lot of Westerners will go and learn to teach yoga. So it's just a fucking welcoming environment. That's about it, yeah.
So then you're back in Rishikesh, was it?
Yeah.
Was it
Rishikesh. Yeah.
And you're trying to figure out what to do next. And
yeah, so I painted that mural in the yoga school at that point.
How long was the yoga course? Did that go for?
2 months.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 months. Maybe less. I don't know. Around that marker. And I stayed for another 2 to 3 months after.
There were a few good-looking girls in that one?
Listen, I had a travel love. She was this
okay.
She was a Chilean lady that I met in India. And, yeah, it was like a most beautiful spark of travel love. Yeah.
Yeah, nice.
In and out, though, see you later after. She was a ballsy bitch, man. She, like, fucking was traveling the whole of India solo. Couch surfing with people, and I'm like, yo, you shouldn't be couch surfing in India with random dudes. It's like not a good idea. But she did it. She did her own thing. She's also like a Latino, man. She had Latin fire. You don't want to piss her off.
Yeah, fair.
But
that is. I mean, again, this is always a big reminder. Hey, when you're traveling and you're a dude, and then you talk to some girls. I'm like, oh man, I'm so glad that I'm a guy when I'm traveling.
Yeah, man. She'd tell me some horror stories.
Yeah,
yeah. Like, why are you doing this shit to yourself?
Yeah,
why do you fucking bother?
We had in Sri Lanka, which is like the island south of India, and there was a couple of very good-looking Swedish girls, and they were on one of the trains that was going down through, I think like down across Kandy and down to wherever it was going, and they were like. They would just have guys on the train, and they had one in particular that would just sit across them or like just stare at them nonstop and then just start jacking off. Oh. And like they would go up and move, and he would just follow and sit down and just keep looking at them. Like it's like I'm like,
I guess.
And they're like, what are they like? What are they gonna do?
What are you meant to do?
You're nothing.
Yeah,
you're not gonna do. And I'm like, oh my god, man! Like I'm so. This is my life is so easy traveling with this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I respected her because she was a boss bitch, man. She wasn't like take no shit type of girl.
Do you know girls solo travel way more than guys?
Yeah.
It's like 70% or something.
Yeah, I don't.
Girls are way more courageous with this shit.
What are we doing?
Dudes are fucking terrified of traveling.
Pick our game up.
Yeah.
Always want the boys trip.
Yeah, well, boys
trip.
Boys go like, well, now I've got boys, aka there's some level of tribal protection or whatever. I need to stay around the tribe.
Yeah.
Girls are just like, fuck it, I'm off.
Yeah, I respect that.
So yeah, is it pretty much you finish your yoga course and then you're like, I'm out?
I chilled for a bit.
Oh, that was the goat shepherding and such?
Painted that mural, chilled for a bit. And then, it just got to the point where my friend Arvind was like, I can sponsor you. You can work at the yoga school. They were building another yoga school. So he's like, you can teach yoga here. It's up to you, but I can sponsor you for another 12 months. But I had probably $200 to my name, and I actually had to get my whole family to chip in to buy my ticket home. So I was just like, I just think it was at the end of the journey.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just think it's time to go home. And I think my mum was, she was getting out of jail. So I was like, yeah, I wouldn't mind returning to catch up with her and shit like that. I don't know if something like that. So it was just at that point in life where it was like, all right, time to get home.
And we don't have to talk about it either, but like, I guess your upbringing and getting up to this point, mum, dad, like what was sort of your upbringing like? What was like Jordan's childhood in?
It was good, man. It was, I mean, my mum was a boss ass mum. Mum was a beast. My mum was gangster. And my brothers were sick, man. My dad had his moments for sure. The way I look at my dad is my dad loves having older sons who he can go for a pint with and chill out with. But I think when we were younger, he was just a bit overwhelmed by it. Just didn't know how to handle it that well. But yeah, mum was pretty fucking strict on us. But like strict in a way of just like trying to bring us up to be gentlemen, you know, be respectful, well-mannered, things like that. I was probably the black sheep in high school, being a bit, you know, naughty, doing naughty shit. But yeah, we had a good upbringing. It was just, I think every family has their own dysfunctional ways, you know, and I think we just had our own dysfunctional way. And
were you being naughty at school, in your words, for any particular reason? Was it just the people that you ended up hanging out with? Was it any rebellious thing that you would?
The people. Okay. Yeah, hanging around some shit cunts. Not all of them, but I was hanging around some pretty, just like not best people. And then mum would, you know, as you're a teenager, mum would be like, I don't want you hanging out with him. And then you'd just go hang out with him because you want to rebel more. And then you'd get in trouble with whatever. And yeah, so that was a little shit, man. That was a little shit.
Can't tell me what to do sort of thing. Makes you want to do it more.
Yeah. And the worst was like, because my older brother was fucking goody not a goody two-shoe, but he was like really smart student, really fucking, you know, really good guy. And I'd get in trouble at school and some of the teachers would walk by and be like, oh, you should just be like your older brother, or I'd wish you'd behave like your older brother. And I'd be, it fucking sends me, man.
Yeah, that would have been.
It would send
nice,
me.
Eh?
And then my little brother just like learned from me and my older brother's mistakes and was like the perfect angel child. He's a good boy. I was very protective of him.
Right, so middle child, you know, you're just
middle child syndrome.
Yeah. Forgotten one.
Yeah, literally.
It's
bullshit.
It's crazy. It's crazy how those sorts of things. There's a few patterns that repeat.
Yeah.
Not all the time. There's exceptions, obviously, but
sure.
It's funny how that works.
Yeah.
So middle brothers can just get away. It's not you get away, but there is a little version of the eldest took all this time and attention, and then parents are like, "Fuck it," like the next one will kind of figure itself, and then the third one. If there is a third, is the baby. So all of a sudden, the first one is leading the charge. Yeah. The last one is the final one to protect. Yeah. The middle one is figure your shit out.
Yeah. Fucking, you're on your own. Yeah. Pretty much. Don't be a little shit.
Yeah.
I was definitely had to figure my own shit out. Yeah.
Pros and cons. Yeah. Why do you have any sense now looking back why you had the tendency to be a little shit? I mean, I know you just said like the people that you hang around with.
I'm just cheeky as.
Yeah.
I was just a cheeky little cunt, eh?
Did you just not like school as well, though?
I liked school. I just didn't give a fuck about a lot of it. Like, I got kicked out of science in year 10. I just fucking hated it. And then, like, it wasn't till after, like, year 11 and 12 when I was like, I really need to sit down and focus and finish school, you know, that I, like, picked up my game in school. But, prior to that, year 8, 9, and 10, I was just, fucking... Just didn't give a shit, really. Didn't give a shit. Was hanging around the wrong people as well. That would influence me more on that mentality. So, it wasn't the best. Yeah. My mum, my nan, actually, God rest her soul. She was awesome. But when I was 14, she told me to come over and I came to hers and she, like, sat me down, was like, you are stressing your mother out. She came over here crying about you the other day, blah, blah, blah. And I was like... Damn, and me and my dad were getting in fucking mad scraps and shit like that. Like, dad would fuck me up sometimes. So when my nan told me that about my mum, I was like, I can't do this anymore. I need to try and pick my game up. From that point, I definitely put more effort into school and I stopped hanging around those people and started hanging around other kids and stuff like that. She pulled me in. She pulled my socks up for me.
Oh, what a good nan.
Yeah.
Oh, good on her.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the sort of stuff that, that's like a little small action and event that,
exactly. Yeah,
really does move the
me
needle.
on the right path. Yeah, for sure.
Good on you for taking that under advisement as well.
Oh, the minute I knew my mum was like, like you fight with your mum, you get in arguments with your dad and shit like that. But when you hear it from like your nan that she like took time to go see my nan, was crying about it, I was like, damn. Oh, that's heartbreaking.
It hurts the heart just to hear.
I can't do that anymore.
Mum to be like upset on something would be.
And it's not that I'm not. It's just that I'm disappointed in you. It's like fuck.
Yeah,
that hurts more.
That's a rough one. That's such a rough one. For sure. You save that. The parents, hopefully, they save that for like desperate times.
I can't wait to use it every day with my kids.
Every day. You're such a disappointment.
Oh, what do you mean you don't know your ABCs yet? I'm disappointed in you.
It's just the whole time. Yeah. It's just absolutely devastated.
Oh, you pissed the bed again? You fucking 5? I'm fucking so disappointed in you. Go to your room.
Why can't you be like your older brother?
Yeah. Or your baby brother.
Yeah.
Useless.
What's your name again?
Yeah. Who the fuck are you? Are you even mine?
So you come back, and then at what point are you starting to really focus on the art as being like because I went to one of your art shows, gallery exhibitions.
Was it the one in the city?
Yeah, it was like the one up the stairs, small thing through there.
It was a wild night, eh?
Yeah.
It was a fucking lit time.
It was a good time?
Yeah, shit, yeah. It was a wild night. I think we had like 600 or 700 people rock up on that exhibition.
It's huge. It was massive. It was crowded. Like, it was genuinely hard to hear the speeches because there was enough people going on. So I was like,
I think I sold all my works that night as well. I think I sold out completely. Elite. Yeah, it worked out well.
So like, you're like the first person, or just at least the only person that I know that really was going hard at it, not just doing it and starting to get really into it and putting lots and lots of work behind it and doing these shows. So like, when does that start happening? You come back and then you obviously broke.
I think when I came back, there was like a year of depression, unfortunately, because I went
post-travel blues or
culture shock, things like that. And then I hadn't finished my degree.
Can I ask as well what depression is for you or to you?
Just fucking, like, if I had to really think about it, I guess it's just like, for me, big things are like fear of failure, stress, burnout. Like, I just fucking hard to have a positive thought, lack of sleep, things like that. It just fucking, all these things tally up. And then when I know I'm losing my passion for things I love, and it gets a bit heavy. But that was that culture shock was hard because it was like, what, I came back from this like amazing trip, and then I'm home and I'm like, what the fuck am I doing with my life right now? Like, where am I meant to go? What am I meant to do? How am I meant to get out of this? And it was like hard, so hard, man. All my friends had work and shit like that, so it was really hard. And then I got a job at Bunnings, and then that kind of pulled me out. And then I was like, I'm going to finish my degree, and then went and studied art more at ECU because I think Curtin was a shit show for an art degree. And then studying art kind of got me back on the track of like, let's pursue our art. And then that exhibition you went to, I'd probably been only a couple months graduated. And then my friend who was still at uni, Isaac, he's fucking a boss cunt. He pushed us. He selected 4 of us artists, like his mates. I'd never really met him, the other guys. But yeah, we all came together, and he was a curator. He figured out the whole show and things like that. So after that point, especially like fresh out of uni grad, it was like, let's keep this ball going for a bit. Let's see what happens.
So you kind of, because you sort of arrive back, and then you have a period of feeling pretty much like lost again, right?
Yeah.
Because you've had purpose while you've been away pretty much every day. Yeah. You've had structure, you've had routine, you've had work that's been put in. Yeah. And you've come back and been like, where's the structure? Where's the routine? Where's the work putting in? I'm behind everyone else.
Yeah. I've got no money now. Like, it was fucked, bro. It was a hard transition for sure.
And funny how you sort of say that the way that you felt you started to get out of it was simply just the basic stuff. Just get a
job.
Whatever job, just get a job and start getting stuck in.
Yeah.
And then you started to be like, well, I'm doing one thing, why not do another thing?
Yeah.
Finish your degree off.
Yeah.
Well, now I've finished the degree off, may as well do this gallery that someone invited to.
Keep the ball going.
It's funny how...
Just got to keep pushing through, you know. There's no point just sitting in the fucking shadows for too long.
Starting up just get the momentum going.
Yeah. Goals. I realized when I was really young, like when I was probably like 21, 22, I went through a period where me and my mates lost like 5 or 6 people in about a year and a half, like friends. You know, it was hard. It was a fucking hard time. And I made this like, I came to this realization of the importance of goals when I was then. And it was like, you know, because a lot of people be like, oh, you should set goals. And then it's like, but how do I set goals? What do I just say? Like, in a year's time, I'm going to be a fucking doctor, you know, or in 10 years' time, I'm going to own a yacht. You know, it's more just like little goals that I realized. I think the journey of, I don't know, just like, I just came to a realization. You set a goal, you break that goal down, how to get to that goal. Each step and achievement you hit along the way is an achievement, and you get self-confidence from that. You get a boost of your own morale, and you just keep going. And then all of a sudden, the goals will develop more, and you know, as you get closer to that bigger goal, you're going to set other goals. So that type of mentality, I've never forgotten that, and I've always kind of take that on with everything I do. So having that coming back from my trip was like kind of in place of like, what do I actually need to do to get better, to get back on track with my life.
And, you know, you've clearly had a bit of a rough time with friends being lost.
Yeah.
You like getting pretty hard into your art and your style and trying to figure it out. And what we spoke about before getting on the pod as well is that you've also recently been a little bit more outspoken about sort of the mental health side of things as well.
Yeah.
So, you know, it sounds like from the accumulation of your experience so far, you've got certainly first-hand experience of like where things can end up when they don't go so well. You kind of also have found yourself in a position where you've gone through your own process yourself of, as you said, setting these small little goals seems to really help you get out of it. So I'd like to just hear a little bit about like what are you doing now, I guess, in the world of the mental health space and the art space. Like, how are you sort of combining these things together, or I guess where are you at with all of this?
I guess right now, unfortunately, my mental health has taken a bit of a dive. I lost my mom a year ago, and I was the one that I had, like, found her. So that kind of has been having like flashbacks and recurrent images on my brain, which sucks. And then that's just like kind of led to more things. I, got out of a relationship. I had a seizure at the start of this year, and then had to have surgery on my shoulder, which this physio called Harry Lowther has been helping me out on.
Now we reconnected, actually.
Yeah, but I don't know. It's definitely taken a dive, man. To the point that it was getting real dark in my brain, and having some space to myself and some more time to myself. It definitely, like, the realization of how much I just pushed shit down and didn't address anything with my mom and stuff like that. And then, when you're actually on your own for a little bit and you have time to reflect, it fucking just comes up. So it's just like, I've just been trying to get through day by day, trying to sleep more, trying to get back into my training, things like that. I'm not overwhelming myself. I'm just one thing at a time. Let's make it a goal to go to the gym every day this week. Cool. Next goal might be like, let's spend one night this week sitting down and drawing. Just fucking do one thing like that. Walk your dog. Like, I'm hanging out with my dog heaps. He's the most badass looking cunt ever. He's not a badass. He's a sook, bro. But hanging out with him he is monumental for me. He's like my world. So I'd be lost without that dog. And just like being around the boys a bit more, and just like, I'm feeling way better than I was like 2 months ago. But it's definitely like, and I've been speaking about it. Like, I'm very open about my mental health. I try to be. I know I can be more open and more communicative, but I also, I just want, especially as a man, I want other men to know, like, fuck, this guy's, talking about his mental health. That's pretty big, if it means that they might feel safe to do it one day, then sure, let's send it, you know. So if I can be the guinea pig in that sense for my friends or for people who are in my life who are struggling as well, then they see me talking about it or making a post on my social media about, you know, I'm struggling at the moment, you know, I'm sorry I haven't been the best person or whatever, then, you know, if someone who is going through the same shit sees that openness, and maybe they might be able to reflect that on their own thing and start trying to talk more, things like that. So yeah, it's been a fucking wild ride the last year and a half for me, mentally. So right now I just need some time to consolidate shit, process things, get back onto my self-love journey. Speaking with a psychologist who has made me realize that I've got a lot of work to do, not physically with behavioral things, but mindful behavioral lessons. So that's also very interesting because it's a whole thing that you really don't fucking reflect on until someone who's practiced and trained in it is like, I see what you're doing here. Stop it now. And you're like, oh.
So far, you enjoying is not the right word, but are you appreciating the experiences with the psychologist? Like,
it's good. It's definitely kind of hit me. It just made me realize like, I got a lot of work to do mentally to just be accepting of my thoughts and myself. And I'm my own worst enemy. I'm very self-critical, very self-critical. You know, a lot of people compliment me and it just doesn't matter to me. It just doesn't. It's like, oh, whatever, man, just fucking keep. But then you don't see it, you know. You're like, oh, I'm still a piece of shit, or I'm still fucking not good enough, things like that. So it's definitely a lot of work to do in that mindset, which unfortunately is, I guess, linked to my upbringing and things like that, you know, just not having, I guess, an emotional availability to be able to talk about it more, which is what I'm learning now. So yeah, I think mental health is a fucking journey that everyone goes through. It's just like, it gets overwhelming at times. And I think especially when you're at your lows, I think the most important thing to know is that those lows are lows, but there's always going to be a high after, you know. That chapter will end. It's just a phase. As long as you pursue just fucking go for a walk a day, go to the gym 3 times a week, whatever, like little things that start to add up will bring you out of that shadow, and so the light can come in. And that's what I've literally been doing. So I'm definitely not back on the mend, and I'm feeling better every day. But yeah, it can be overwhelming at times, especially when it's like late nights and you're stuck in your own thoughts for a bit.
No doubt, and yeah, bottom of my heart, really. Sorry again about your mum. It's
it's all good.
It's just one of those I can't understand. Can't imagine.
No,
you know.
No one will ever prepare you for that. No one. There's nothing there's nothing anyone could say as well. It's just like it is. Unfortunately, it is what it is. You know, I can't really. I've got a hell gnarly mental block about it, so it's hard for me to think about. I just fucking block it out, really. But I look back and I'm always thankful for my mum. She was a boss ass, and I respect that, and I respect who she was and her self-sacrifice for us boys. You know, there's like no one else like her. So yeah, man, it is what it is, really. My mum would be disappointed in me if I just fucking, you know, did nothing, fucking took ages to get over her grief and just fucking sat in the shadows for a long time. She'd want me to keep going. She'd want me to keep pushing for what I love. She'd want me and my brothers to just keep striving for new heights, you know, and that's how she brought us up. So as much as grief plays a role in it all, it's like, you know, and my older brother's been so fucking important to me throughout this process because he like talks to me like mum would talk to me. So it's been good, man, especially when I was at my lows a few months ago. He was just so fucking good at being like, bro, like exactly what mum would say, like, take your time, one thing at a time. It's not going to last forever. Just slow movements to get out of these ruts and see what happens. So yeah, but it is what it is.
It's good to have older brothers.
Oh yeah. They can be useless at times. They can be fucking good as well.
90% useless, but when they're good,
when
they're
good, they're
matters,
good. Oh yeah, it makes up for that 99%. Bro. Useless.
As we talked about again off pod, and this is where I think this is the funny thing about life and sort of the journey and collection of things and experiences that you go through, and how the combination of those things, the fusion of your art, so to speak, ends up sort of combining together, and like where that sort of leads. And you mentioned before how you're getting really into your Warhammer, so anyone that's into Warhammer, maybe send me a little shout out. What's your race at the moment?
Fucking Space Marines, brother.
Space Marines?
Dark Angels.
Okay.
For the Emperor.
What are there's 3 races total? No.
There's a lot.
Oh, there's a lot?
Yeah.
Okay, in my head I was like, there's just like StarCraft, like 3.
No, there's a lot. There's like...
My bad.
I mean, there's a lot.
Okay.
We don't need to go into it.
Don't need to go deep into it.
Don't get me started, man. Okay.
But you spoke about how you'd been, some of the artwork that you were doing, and then you, happened to sort of put something out, I think on socials, just saying like, oh, look, not feeling my best at the moment.
Yeah.
And then, you've ended up fostering a bit of a connection after that point, which is now mixing a little bit of, again, what you've been going through into your art, and then connecting with other people that are experiencing or have experienced other versions of trauma. Just wanted you to speak a little bit on that as well, if you could.
So when I had my seizure injury, I got into doing AI art because I couldn't draw. And it turns out that, people fucking hate it. People love it. I don't really give a fuck. I was just doing it because I was injured and I couldn't do anything else. But then, I made a social media account and it's blown up. I think I'm about to hit 40K followers. So
Elite, dude.
It's been sick. It's been great. But it's been very consistent. Like, every day just posting images. It's Warhammer 40K niche only. But it got overwhelming at one point, and I did make a massive post just being like, fucking... to all these people I don't even know, this is what I'm going through, man. I'm struggling. I'm recovery from my mum's death, from the seizure I fucking had due to stress, from my surgery. There's so much on my plate. I'm sorry I'm not posting a lot. I'll get around to it soon. Just like letting them know. Yeah, the fucking outreach was insane. I think the post racked up like a lot of comments and likes of people just sharing their own stories. Mostly a lot of men. But just like commenting their own stories, and then other men commenting, supporting each other, and then a lot of messages I got. And a lot of guys who follow me are like military men from around the world. This one guy called J.R. Brooks. He's been so awesome, man. I don't even know this guy. He's like an author, top-selling author in New York or something like that. He's an army veteran, but he's been like fucking messaging me, he checks in on me, things like that. Gives me like methods to, control my mental health and stuff like that. So he's been sick, man. And then just like, it's weird, man. The outreach and the community that I've somehow grown on this AI art page has become like really cool and really supportive. And then to watch all these other guys support each other and things like that was sick. It was a fucking, took me by surprise how well the outreach was for that. And like,
What's the account called?
Wobbly AI.
Wobbly AI?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And again, all Warhammer. Do you know where is a lot of the people, Australian, American, everywhere?
Oh, Warhammer's huge all over. Maybe not, I don't know, not as much maybe in the Asian countries. I really have no idea. But it's massive in Europe, massive in US, massive in UK, and it's pretty big here.
Final sort of couple things is the AI art you sort of touched on, that some people hate it, some people love it.
Yeah.
It sounds like it was an incredible tool for post your incident, and so for anyone that doesn't know, you basically ended up having a seizure that the doctors just say was brought by stress.
Stress-induced seizure.
Which is, if that's, let's just take that as absolutely true, that's what the cause is. It's funny to see how, again, whatever you've been going through, there are physical things that come out of mental health issues, right? And so a lot of people probably don't take enough time to manage maybe stress in general. This is a little bit of an aside, but people that I see in the physio clinic, most people that have some sort of prolonged, either like a tendinopathy, something that's been sore for quite a while, but chronic, almost always have some component of stress that's not been managed very well.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's probably just a little bit of a tangent that we don't need to go
down
into.
I think it's important though.
But it's worthwhile considering for for oneself that if you're in a constant state of stress, we now know that there is going to be some physical changes as a result.
You need to look after yourself.
So you have this incident where first time you've never had
a seizure.
Never had a seizure beforehand.
No.
Fortunate enough that there was at least someone there to be able to provide some help.
My partner at the time was there. She was awake at the time. It was like 5:30 in the morning or something like that.
And you end up really doing a good damage, damage to your shoulder.
Royally fucked it.
So I think posterior dislocation, a little bit of fracturing going on.
And the humeral bone, and then I tore all the ligaments.
Yeah, so that was a great time. So then you've come out of that. You literally can't do the drawing how you normally would.
Couldn't do shit. I was in a sling for about 2 months, constant pain for about 3 or 4.
Do you think you ever would have done AI art had you not had that incident?
I was fucking around with it. Like I just was like, oh, let's see what I got. You know, let's just fucking see what it is. I don't really care. I know the stigma early on, and still to these days, you know, artists just fucking hate it. What it is, I don't know. Everyone, each their own, whatever. Welcome to your own opinion. But yeah, and then I just started like fucking around with it, and then I got really good at it somehow, and grew this page, and you know, now people want me to like do a handbook, like a guidebook, teach people how to do it, you know, and sell that. And yeah, there's definitely a whole bunch of fucking side incomes coming in from this now. Like AI companies hit me up for like sponsored videos and shit like that, which is cool as well. But yeah, I don't know. I think now as well, like I'm looking forward to get back into drawing, and I think the most important thing like that artists should really start to consider with AI is you got an idea, you want to draw this, you want to paint this, you're going to scour through fucking Pinterest for a few hours getting reference images, right? Getting ideas and seeing styles and things like that. You can do the same thing with an AI generator. You can be like, I want to draw this plant, or I want to draw a geisha girl, and you prompt it in, geisha girl in this style of art, you know, wearing whatever, you know, however you want it, whatever you want to paint. You fucking put it in. You could get like 30 reference images in 10 minutes, and then you're like, cool, now I got my references. I'm just gonna get started, and then you take a bit from everything and just start drawing it.
I think like anything new tech.
It's just a tool. It's just a tool.
Yeah.
It's just a fucking tool.
And it's not like you're pretending that what you're posting, for instance, isn't AI generated.
It's clearly labeled AI art. You know. And I don't call myself on the page an AI artist. I just say I'm an AI prompter. I prompt shit, you know? That's it. It's literally all it is. I get a lot of, like, I don't get a lot of hate. There's always that one old comment being like, AI slop. And I just don't engage. I know other AI people, like, engage with it. I just don't give a fuck, man. It's like water on my back. I don't care.
Yeah, and the classic, you know, easy. Well, it's impossible for your brain to ignore negative comments.
Yeah.
They're the things that, no matter
they stand
what
out
you
more.
do,
Yeah.
they stand out. Yeah. You think about them more.
Yeah.
Nothing you can do, no matter how many positive comments there are. There's nothing you can do but think about a negative comment more than everything else, which is insane, which is wild. And that ends up why I think a lot of people do well once they get to a point where they're getting so many comments that they probably would be worthwhile not reading them too much anymore.
Yeah.
It has to get to a point where if there's too many, there's so many that your community, your small community, is just too mixed in now with other stuff.
Yeah.
For your own mental health,
you
can't do it because you're guaranteed there's going to be some negative comments, and you're guaranteed to only think about those ones.
Bro, what I find funny nowadays is that I've definitely grown a community, and I made this series of stuff I was doing where it was like Space Marine legions from around the world. So I would make a Space Marine legion from Egypt, and I'd write lore about it and everything like that. So I got a huge following from that. People fucking loved it. They all want to see their countries represented and stuff like that.
Yeah, sick.
And then when you'd see comments of like, oh, AI is heresy or AI is slop, then like this community that I'd grown would just be like, can't shut the fuck up. It's cool. Just fucking leave it, you know? And then like it's my community's starting to have my back.
Yeah.
So I just wouldn't say shit. I just stopped engaging with any of the negative comments. Because I just don't give a fuck anymore.
Yeah, it's not worth it either. Yeah. It's not. It's
Mate, it is what it is. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion.
Yeah.
Also, if you don't want to, and they'll be like, I don't want to see this AI shit anymore. And I'm like, well, why are you commenting on it, you drongo?
Yeah, that's just only going to make it more come
just
up.
Just click not interested. Move on.
And honestly, the weirdest part is you almost actually want to see them because they're a signal that you are growing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
the
exactly.
Negativity is a byproduct of any increase in popularity or growth.
Exactly.
So
I got this one fucking post I did recently. It was like a Darth Vader fusion as a space marine. You know, just did it because he James Earl Jones died recently, the OG voice. So I was like, oh,
I didn't even know that he died.
Yeah, he died.
Right.
I think like a week or two ago. Yeah.
Oh.
So I just let's do an ode to him. You know. And I checked it this morning, and somehow it's got like, nearly, I think, 30,000 likes on it. And, you know, I just had to look through the comments, and people were just like, a lot of people fucking love it, man. There's hundreds of comments. People fucking love it. But, the fucking back and forth that people get into these arguments on my fucking things. And I'm like, yo, thanks for the engagement.
Yeah.
Keep it up. It's going to keep it in the algorithm. I don't give a fuck.
Yep. Yeah, that's definitely... part and parcel of it. Like, you would probably be aware of the Chinese proverb about the farmer and his son.
No.
So the farmer has like a son and regional or rural town within China, and he gets this new horse, and then the town or the villagers go like, "Oh, your son is so lucky! What a fortunate boy! He's got this new horse that he gets to play with and help with his farming, all sort of stuff." And then the farmer says like, "Yeah, maybe, we'll see." And then the kid's riding the horse one day, falls off the horse, breaks his arm, and the villagers go, "Oh, your son, he's so unlucky, like what a terrible thing to happen, he broke his arm, like he's, awful." And the guy's like, "Yeah, good or bad, like, we'll see." And then all of a sudden China's like involved in war.
Yeah.
And then they're coming around to conscript everyone, and they come to his son. Son can't be conscripted because he's got a broken arm. Villagers come again. They're all like, "Oh my God, your son didn't get conscripted? That's awesome. That's so good. Good on, like, how lucky." And he was like, "Yeah, good or bad, like, hard to say." And it's the idea that no matter what goes on in life, there's always the potential for that goodness or badness at any one time to then convert into something the opposite.
Yeah.
And it's funny.
That's really true.
And it's funny how in your circumstance, in my head, you've the shoulder injury that's really forced you, or at least certainly propelled you to really focus into AI art.
Yeah.
Has then generated this community of people which you're really like into. And
yeah, it's weird, bro.
Right, like it's...
Tell me a year ago I'd be doing this shit. Now I run this Facebook AI art group page, and that's, I think, about 48,000 followers, and it's just like Warhammer AI images on Facebook as well. And I got like a team of guys who I've just been like, yeah, you guys fucking handle this. I'll just be there when you need me, things like that. So yeah, it's fuck. But like, you told me a year ago I'd be doing all this shit. It'd be like, what the fuck, And now the doors are opening more and more. The more it grows, the more things are changing. So it's just like kind of just rolling with the fucking punches right now. See what happens. I'm not fucking balls deep in it. I know there's potential for a potentially a source of income, a pretty good source of income. And at the end of the day, mate, putting money in my back pocket, I don't give a fuck, it's just like, cool, let's just give it a go. But it's definitely grown a sense of community in both aspects. It's weird, bro. It's just like, sometimes I'm a bit dumbfounded of how the fuck I ended up here with this situation.
Yeah, well, to me it's just cool that you're just getting to do stuff that you're into, you're being open about what's going on, and it's again, it's this intersection of things that are going on that seem to be who knows where it ends up, obviously. But I think for anyone out there that, is going through difficult times and such, time and time again, when I see at least people such as yourself that sort of go through, just continue on, just keep pushing on. Things, start to happen.
There's always light at that end of the tunnel. Just got to look for it. Just got to keep pushing on. No matter how dark it is, there's always going to be a light there, So you just got to keep on going, working your way towards that light. The closer you get to the light, the bigger it's going to get, So, but I understand, but when people are in real lows, it's hard to see any sense of future or any sense of like, what am I going to do with myself? But again, just keep moving forward. Little steps, baby steps will grow to bigger steps, will grow to giant steps, and before you know it, you'll be reflecting on how much group development you made, and you'll be proud of yourself. So yeah.
Cool, dude. Well, I've got one final two-sided question that I like to ask people.
Yeah, fuck me up with it.
So the first half is, what advice would you give to yourself from, let's just say, 5 years ago? No, we'll go, how old are you now?
30.
We'll go 10 years ago. Okay, so 10 years ago, what's the sort of advice that 30-year-old Jordan would give 20-year-old Jordan?
Learn to celebrate the little things. Learn to enjoy the little things more. And just don't be so hard on yourself. You know, be more proud of you and your small achievements than you have been. You know, and enjoy the little things and celebrate those, because sometimes it's those little things that might just make your day. You know, so I think that's what I'd say. Don't be so hard on yourself. Celebrate the little things, and yeah, that's about it. Yeah.
Cool, dude. And the second half of the question is, now imagine yourself being 40-year-old Jordan.
Yeah.
What's 40-year-old Jordan telling 30-year-old Jordan now for advice?
You fucking made it, mate. You fucking did it. How good's that Bugatti in the driveway? God. That yacht as well. Shit, you really got that trophy husband material, you know?
It's the other way around. It's your 40-year-old self telling your 30-year-old self advice.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what it's like. Nah, I'd just be like, I don't know, man. Fuck. I've never had to think about that. 40-year-old self. I'd say.
So it's like the advice you need right now. You would expect to be giving yourself right now.
Keep pushing.
10 years time.
Keep pushing on. Everything happens for a reason. It is what it is. Just keep pushing on.
Cool, man. Well, look, I really appreciate your time. Thank you very
yarn.
much for being pretty open about what's going down as well. And I look forward to seeing where Woobly AI and just Woobly in general end up, dude. But very stoked to have
appreciate
had a little convo, and we're going to get your shoulder feeling prim and proper.
We're getting back in them handstands.
Yeah, brother.
That's the goal. Yeah, it's been a pleasure.
Hopefully we can have another chat in the future as well, dude. Anytime.
Done. Much love.
Cheers, brother.